Hey, welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to talk about the Yakuza series and why I think other developers should take a little bit of inspiration from them. But before I get into that, for those that are interested, Skyrim Potion Challenge Part 3 will come out this week. It's just been taking me a long while to edit this down. So I'm sorry, I wanted to get it out sooner, so this video is just something to hold you over until then. Let's get right into this. First thing I want to talk about is that despite having so many entries, the series doesn't feel boring or repetitive. That's because every game has something unique about it and something different, which makes them all feel very unique. For example, in Yakuza 0 you have the money mechanic and there's a big side story on becoming a billionaire and becoming the richest man in the city. And in Yakuza Kiwami you have the Majima thing, where you basically fight Majima everywhere. You encounter him everywhere in the game. Yakuza 4 and 5 have different playable characters, and they all have their own sub-stories and stuff. And in Yakuza 7, of course, you have the turn-based combat, which a lot of people don't like, but I personally enjoyed a lot. I think game developers can learn a lot from that, especially with a long-running series. For example, Assassin's Creed. They had a formula back in the day, which they kept using until it got stale. And now they have a new formula and they keep using that until it gets stale. With Mirage they tried a little something different, and it worked pretty well, I think. But in general, if you played one of the old school ones and one of the RPG ones, basically there's not a lot of difference between them. I enjoy every Assassin's Creed game I play. You can hate me for that, but I don't care. I don't go in there expecting something groundbreaking and new. I just know, okay, this is an Assassin's Creed game, I'm just gonna enjoy the story, and maybe that's because I've been playing Assassin's Creed since my childhood, so maybe I'm just a bit stupid. But I definitely see the point when people say it's getting stale and it's just the same game over and over again. And I think game developers can really take an example from the Yakuza series in that regard. Basically have the game at its core be the same, but add something unique to it. So give the people a reason to play the new game instead of the old one, you know? My second point is reused assets. And I know a lot of people hate that. Here's the kingdom, look at that. They reused the map. They didn't even reuse it. They took the map and built 2 new maps around it and added new content to the pre-existing map. But whatever, people still hated that and called it a DLC. But I think it can be very useful, especially if it fits the narrative. Why not reuse the map? In Yakuza, you have 10 games that play in Kamurocho. I don't know the exact number, but I think it's about 10 games. And it's the same city every game. But every time there's new stuff to explore in the city and new stuff to find. Something is different, new side quests and stuff, which keeps it exciting. And I don't think it's a bad thing to reuse assets, especially if it's something like rocks or wall textures. I mean, if you have it once, why would you feel the need to redo it every game? Of course, if it's low resolution or the technology has advanced so far that you have to readjust it, then you should. But I mean, why would you remake a cardboard box if you can just take the old cardboard model and use that, you know? Why waste time on making a completely new model on something so pointless, basically what I'm saying. Because stuff like that doesn't have a big impact on the game. People won't notice that, like, oh shit, they used the same cardboard box model that they used in the last game, I hate this. Nobody says that, and if they do, they're a fucking idiot. But it can speed up the development time so much that I think developers should really stop remaking everything for another game. Of course, for important stuff you shouldn't just reuse same assets as important scenes before, because that's obvious. If you use the same room and interior that you used in a final boss for the last game, then people will notice that because that's an important scene in the game and that's very memorable, and people will notice stuff like that. So let's get on to the next point, which is character writing and story. Not every Yakuza game has a great story, but most of them do. And the fact they're all connected to each other enhances all of them, I think. They also make it very accessible to people who haven't played a Yakuza game before. You don't need to play every Yakuza game to play the newest one. Of course you won't know most of the characters, but every game does a good job in showing you who the character is and why they are relevant, and you won't have any trouble understanding the story that happens. Of course, it's the best thing to just go from 1 to 10, go in the order that they want you to, so you can understand and appreciate the story at its peak. And I mean, playing Yakuza 6 as your first game is probably not a good idea, but you can pick up most Yakuza games and have that be your first one. Of course, the best entry point is Yakuza 0, because that is just an awesome game and it's the backstory for everything. But yeah, I think if you have a big universe, why wouldn't you try to connect the stories in some way and have characters show up again? That's something I miss in Final Fantasy a lot, Characters return in some games, yes, but for example Noctis or something like that, I would love to see him again or him be referenced or something. And I haven't played Final Fantasy 16, so maybe they do that, but most of the time a Final Fantasy game is standalone and doesn't have much to do with any of the other games. But they're all in the same universe as far as I know. So it would be cool to have like a reference every now and then to like a character that was really important in the world and did something crazy. And especially if a character is loved by the fan base, then there's a big reason to bring them back, Which brings me to my next point, which is being in touch with their fan base. The creators know exactly what the fans want, and they deliver on it mostly. I'm still waiting for a Akiyama game, or a Majima game maybe, something like that, which the creators know, but they also have their own plan in mind. They won't change everything for their fans, but they will definitely include stuff and have a lot of fan service, I guess. Yakuza 7 is a good example for that, or Yakuza Gaiden, where you can just call your friends and basically have every character support you. You can call Majima in Yakuza 7 and he'll come and do a fucking Naruto run and throw knives and shit. And in Yakuza Gaiden you can even play as Majima and Daigo. Stuff like that is just fucking awesome. I remember there was an Assassin's Creed Origins quest where I met the bad guy from Final Fantasy 15. That confused the hell out of me, I'll be honest. But it was also kinda cool. It was just super out of place, and that's not a good way to do it, I think. If you do a reference to an important character or a fan favorite character, then you also have to weave it into the story a little bit so it doesn't stick out like a sore thumb. And my last point, which is frequent releases. Basically every year there's a new Yakuza game. Last year I think they released 3 games in 1 year. They're just hustling like crazy, but every game they publish is good. You wouldn't expect the quality of the game to be so good if you look at how many games they release every year. You kind of think they'd just be shitting out these sequels, but every game is awesome. I played Ishin, I played Gaiden, I played Yakuza 8. Every one of those games is awesome and the quality isn't affected by their release schedule. That's because they do all of those smart things in their development. That's why Yakuza is currently just booming, They're growing and growing. It's awesome to see because I love the series and I've played almost every game now. in the span of a year. So yeah, definitely check out the Yakuza games if you haven't before, and let me know if I should make a video on them, and which game is your favorite if you've played them. Thank you for watching, I'll see you next time.